The name Robert Kyagulanyi might not ring a bell in Nigeria, but in Uganda, Robert, who is better known as Bobby Wine, is fast becoming a force in Ugandan's political landscape. Robert, who is a popular singer and lawmaker and won a seat in parliament as an independent candidate not backed by any political party in 2017, has formed a party called National Unity Platform ahead of the presidential election in 2021. Hello and thank you for joining us on Strictly Politics, where we talk nothing but politics. My name is Segun Adebo Wale. We'll take a short break, and when we come back, we will be serving you today's delicious dish on Strictly Politics. Do stay tuned. Glad to have you back on Strictly Politics, where we talk nothing but politics. Today we'll be talking about the politics of job creation. And there is no better person to discuss this other than the Senior Special Assistant on Job Creation to the President. I'm talking about Afolabi Imoukhuede. If you have just joined us, you're on to Strictly Politics, where we talk nothing but politics. But today we'll be talking about politics of job creation. And I've been joined by the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Job Creation, Afolabi Imoukhuede. It's a pleasure to have you, Afolabi.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
I know you're very passionate about human capital development.
Yes.
Especially developing human skill in technical development area, creating jobs and entrepreneurship. Tell us how you navigated into this area, which obviously landed you this present role of yours.
Okay, so firstly, I think my story is the fact that I discovered who I was much earlier, being a doctor, or going on the path of medicine. My father wanted me to be a doctor, and for the fact that I discovered who I was as an entrepreneur in part 2 of medicine in Medilag, and then I made that bold step to go study in the path that I wanted, which is business entrepreneurship. So that already was an innate passion in itself for me. And that change for me helped me to understand that there could be a lot of us who are trapped in that, in that issue of passion versus parental desire. So
trying to satisfy our parents.
Yes, versus what really you are passionate about. So that
what were you passionate about?
What? Business entrepreneurship.
Okay.
As against medicine.
Daddy was passionate about
medicine.
Was he a medical doctor?
He wasn't. He wanted to be, but he didn't become a medical doctor.
So he wanted to realize it.
Well, exactly.
You.
Yeah. So I think so my own personal experience in that part is one way by which I was inspired, to go a whole lot more there. However, in that whole, and then human capital is something that has also come natural to me. Engagement, interpersonal relationship, it's something I have as a strong, as part of my strong persona anyways. But in the area of technical vocational skills, it was actually in the course of work and in the course of life. We're managing a project, a construction project, some 15 years ago now. And that was when we experienced firsthand the dearth of technical skilled personnel.
Okay.
And even when we then, so this project was outside of Lagos, and by the time we even came back to Lagos to get skilled people, I then realized, 60% of them were also from the neighboring countries, Benin, Togo, and all of that, the normal story. And that's how I started trying to understand what the problem was, because I knew this was not the issue in the 60s, 70s, or 80s, even, from the stories our fathers told us when my father was building his house and elder uncles, that was not the issue. So that's what opened me into that fora of the challenges in the technical vocational education system and a solution to TVET. And the solution at the time is basically it needs to be something that we need to, is a stakeholder bridge. It's a collaboration between government, the industry, the training providers, the instructors, and the trainees themselves. So those are like the 5 key stakeholders that we must address and bring together to be able to address that challenge.
And manage.
And manage, yes. So that's something also I did not leave to just theory. I did not leave to just speaking about it, but I worked on it. And at that time, we set up our own academy, Skill Up Academy, where we partnered with the Lagos State government. We picked one of the technical colleges, the Government Technical College, Imoukhuede. We worked with the school and the state education board, the vocational education board, LASVEB, to build it up to a City and Guilds accreditation standard. It still remains perhaps the only City and Guilds accredited public institution in Lagos and maybe even in Nigeria. I know Kwara had one very recently, but it's even shut down now. But in any case, that's one of the things we did at the time. And we then started repositioning a lot of our youths within this whole theory that I've just spoken about. And we have life stories even up until today, you know, of young people who did not have to go into universities, but they have become a success in their chosen path of using technical vocational education. So that's what I kept doing. From the success in Lagos, we had gone to other states. I was invited as a World Bank consultant that I am before coming into government. So I was invited to explore the same in some Niger Delta states, Edo State, which is my own state of origin, Delta State, Rivers, and Bayelsa.
Okay.
And in addition, we did the same in Anambra and a few other states. So basically, that's the body of experiential knowledge. And by the time the campaigns came in 2014, 2015, with the campaigns and the success of the elections, and with that 2015 campaign, the reform of technical vocation, entrepreneurship was a big part of Mr. President's campaign at the time, and so
which he needed to deliver.
Yes, which he needed to deliver. So I was invited to join the government, and for me it was exciting because it was a national leverage. In other words, what we had done and had been successful at the state level and in a few other states, we felt it was important that we could actually now use we could roll that out on a national scale and gain a lot of leverage. And that's what we've done also with the Empower program.
Vis-a-vis the apathy of Nigerians. But we'll take a short break, and when we come back, Strict Politics continues in just a moment. Do stay tuned. It's a pleasure to have you back on Strict Politics, where we talk nothing but politics. But today we're moving a bit different, talking about the politics of employment or unemployment. Right. Nigerians have had and continue to have apathy towards government, towards administrations. And sadly, some of these leaders have not really helped matters. We could probably talk about the Festus Keyamo, Minister of State for Labor, and then the face-off between himself and the National Assembly.
Yeah.
We could also talk about the trader money, which some Nigerians say was an election ploy used by this government and suspended immediately the election was won. What do you want to say to all of this?
So let me say that what has been missing from successive administrations, and perhaps what we must fix with this administration and future administrations, and really speaking publicly or globally about our public service, systematic approach to governance is very key. Most times we just go in there and we just dabble on it. Government many times also have this penchant of just throwing money at a problem, and many times money is not always the solution, and it doesn't address because they are
the challenge.
Yes, the challenge, because they are root causes to problems. So just before the break, that's the point you raised, that before we started, there was a strategic framework. Now, time will not allow me to discuss the details of the strategic framework, but at least you picked up something that you had a priority sector. That's as a result of a strategic framework, and there were underpinning principles behind it. Now, that's what happens, so when any government or any aspect of government fails to do those type of detailed work. Many times our responses tends to not really address it, and then we have this apathy with citizens. But to your questions, I mean, I think the one about versus Keyamo, SAN, and National Assembly, they are the normal disagreements to agreements that you would have in government. I say that because we've been baptized with that, having run the Empower program too, that was a pro-poor, pro-people program, and you know that rightfully so, our National Assembly legislators are also the representatives of the people.
Okay.
So the issue is really about everybody, everybody not wanting his own people to be bypassed, so they don't want they believe they are the closest to the people, which in the real sense they are, and they don't want their people bypassed, and of course.
Yet Nigerians will say that they are not likely to give to
exactly
to give it to the people that really need it.
Exactly. So Keyamo obviously wants a meritocracy system that allows everybody, even the child of nobody who doesn't know who is our legislator, to come into it. So I think we will meet, they will meet themselves somewhere, because we've done it before. In Empower, I've discussed a lot of how we went about it in my new book, the Never and Afterthought book. So it will be solved. It won't be an issue. But what is important is that Nigerians benefit. I think that is what is key. And that deserving Nigerians benefit, not loyalists, not party loyalists. Deserving Nigerians. Because if there's anything that I know that Mr. President said to us at the beginning of this administration when we rolled out the social investment program, he said he wants us to design the program in such a way that even any Nigerian, every Nigerian, regardless of religion, regardless of politics, party, regardless of tribe, regardless of gender, and regardless of ability or disability, should be able to benefit. And that's what we did with the social investment program. And so with the same president still the head of government, I'm sure that's what the both sides, Keyamo and National Assembly, must take on board, to say that let's just design something that will allow all deserving Nigerians benefit. Not everybody that applies would always benefit, because there would always be limited scarce resources, but at least let it be that those you select are those who really do need it. I mean, then again, when you talk about the issue about trader money and all that, so firstly, let's understand that the social investment program had 4 pillars. One is Empower, the job creation, which I oversighted and we're talking about quite a bit. Second is the school feeding program, which again was targeted not only to feed the children in school, which had a reason. It was basically to boost their nutrition.
And which the government said they fed even children when they were out of school.
Well, so again, I like to, COVID realities are very different from, governance, the general governance. But there are COVID realities now, yes, which again calls to question and sometimes raises this apathy. But I just want to go somewhere before we come back to that. So that was to feed the children, to empower the rural women who cook the food, and to empower the rural farmers who grow the food. That's what the school feeding program. The third, which is the conditional cash transfer, which is basically where you pay to the vulnerable poor, the widow. You pay them the 5,000 every month in their communities through a selection process that the World Bank actually endorsed and supervises, because you will know that it's also part of their budget loot that is being used to fund the conditional cash transfer. Now, the last but not the least is the government enterprise empowerment program, which addresses the issue, the economic issue of access to finance. And most times, even every average Nigerian talks about, oh, now I want to start a business, I don't have money. Now, even when you and I who have accounts, who have a bank house and account officers, we all have that challenge. Talk less of those who are in the bottom of the pyramid. And so that was what Bank of Industry at the time was the one that was saddled with the responsibility to implement. Yes, it was part of a social investment, but it was not money that was being shared or being taken from any pocket like people try to say now. It was a Bank of Industry that managed the program, and they created different components or different products. Like the bank will have different products. They had the Jeep loan, which is for people in cooperatives, 50,000 to 100,000 loan. That's all they needed to move their business forward. They had the farmer money, which is the one that goes to, and the Jeep loan is one that you also know as market money anyway. They had the farmer money, which is one for farmers, rural farmers, and then they had trader money, That's the one again that was, that one caught the buzz for the election because it was for the very, very rural, poor people who basically all they need to move on is no more than 5,000, 4,000, and but these were also loans, 10,000 naira trader money. Now, that's what it is. Now, there was no cash handling, as people tend to say. What you
Did you ever get back some of these loans?
Yes, just their recoveries. Because you find that the incentive is that for trader money, for example, if you return your loan within 10,000, within the specified period, you're able to now access 15,000. If you return that, you're able to access 20,000. So it's a way to build their credibility and bankability. Let's also remember that for all the other Jeep loans, aside from trader money, every other one, you must have a bank account, you must have BVN. So again, it's actually building your...
It is not jumbo.
Yes, but the trader money, because of the KEDA, it was money that was being paid to them through mobile agents. So when you talk about cash handling, it's actually the mobile agents who are going into the markets, paying them their money that is giving them the cash. And so sometimes when you see those pictures that they are counting cash, it's not that, it's actually through a system. But the goal is that part of the incentive, before you can go into the next tranche, which is 15,000, you must then open an account.
Okay.
So those are the things that...
now, let's talk about your book, your memoir, Never an Afterthought.
Yes.
What informed it? And why that Never an Afterthought?
Well, so Never an Afterthought, because when you look at the book and when you read the book, and as I encourage all the listeners and watchers to read the book, it basically summarizes that there's no aspect of my life that was an afterthought. Absolutely none. Everyone is, every part of my life goes through a lot of deep thinking before embarking on it, or what you call calculated risk. And then the other point of it is that it also showcases, the consistency of character, the consistency of culture, and how these two consistencies impact on my choices and decision making. So you find, for example, I talked about in the book how when I eventually got to America, and then I was studying my accountancy program, and then in between my 2-year college and my 4-year university, the midpoint between my associate degree, the universities that came to poach merit students, that one of which I was at the time, I had a university that gave me full scholarship, versus a university that gave me partial scholarship, and how I made the choice to go to a university that gave me partial scholarship over a full scholarship. Simply because that particular university answered the question of which companies come to hire. My dream as an accountant at the time was to work in the global accounting firms, and at that time there were 5. We used to call them the top 5, which later became 4. So it was PricewaterhouseCoopers, KPMG, Ernst & Young, Deloitte and Touche, and Arthur Andersen.
And you chose KPMG?
Yes. So I actually got 2 offers.
And one of those calculated risks was leaving KPMG to Nigeria.
To Nigeria again. At the time when everybody was looking to come back to Nigeria. So that's what it is. And same thing also but more recently also my going into government, and it was important. So when you look at the title, and I said private sector pragmatism and government idealism, the reality is our system must evolve to getting our, BRF will say, your top 11 in the public service, both in civil service and in public service. Our system must evolve to get to that point. And so the challenge you'll find is
lastly, we have our last 11.
Well,
not to last 11, but
most
not really.
Times you don't have your best hands in government.
Yes.
And so you find that, again, a lot of us, and I say us, using myself as an example, want to remain in the private sector. And then we remain in the private sector, then what do? We criticize a lot of what the government is doing. But then 2 things then happen. 1, if you say you want to remain there, well, if at the end of the day, not your top 11s or your best 11s, whatever your set of 11s go in there, well, guess what? They would set up policies that would impact those of us who are in private sector. That's one. The second thing again then is that you realize that criticism becomes cheap, because even when some of us now go into that public service, many times if care is not taken, we fall into the same trap that we have criticized. And I made mention of some of those in the book. When I was talking about Skilo, for example, and the 5 bridge, I've always said that the longest finger, which is this, should be the industry and not government, which was one of the erroneous challenges with our educational system, you know, because the town must meet the gown, right? So the industry must always lead and not government. But you know, by the time I got into government, what's the common error? It's easy for me to forget and now want to make government all of a sudden swap government. But that consistency of saying no, I mean, I was out there as a stakeholder, I espoused this principle, these theories. Now I'm here, government still stay in your lane. We must get industry. And I discussed a lot in the book how I then worked with industry to still retain their space and still drive the success of the Empower Skills to Industry program. So most times when we go into government, we now get smeared again, you know, by, you know, get entrapped, you know, by the allures of office and all of that, and get sometimes disillusioned. Above all, what I've also found is that the politics is what many of us are not able to, you know, handle. But I like to demystify politics and say that politics should be what you call a strong stakeholder management. And so for all my readers and those who are aspiring to go into public service, and I'm saying welcome, I want to say that one of the things that if you know that you have deficiency in stakeholder management, then start building your strength there if you want to succeed in public service.
Okay. Afolabi Imoukhuede,
yes, sir.
Senior Special Assistant to the President on Job Creation.
Yes, sir.
It's been a pleasure having you on our program.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I appreciate it.
It's still Strictly Politics, where we talk nothing but politics. The program takes a short break, and when we come back, we will be winding up. Do stay tuned. That's our political dish for you today on Strictly Politics, where we talk nothing but politics. We do hope you enjoyed it. But before we go, remember that Nigeria can only be developed by Nigerians, and ensure that within your leading sphere of influence, you're contributing positively to the development of our dear country, Nigeria. My name is Segun Adebowale. I'll see you next week, and we'll talk nothing but politics. Bye for now. That's our political journey today on Strictly Politics, where we talk nothing but politics. Do remember to keep it with us next week. And remember that Nigeria can only be developed by Nigerians, and ensure that within your little sphere of influence, you're contributing positively to the development of our dear country. My name is Segun Adebowale. I'll see you next week, and we'll talk nothing but politics on this program. Bye for now.